Hi, my people, my lovies. This is Hecatehoney, and I'm here today to talk about energetic protection, sacred circles, wards, spells, ways to protect yourself and to keep yourself energetically clean and safe, especially if you're a mystic or healer or even empathic and pick up a lot of energy and feelings. These suggestions will keep you pretty good in the world, or at least they've worked for me. So I just wanted to share that with you, because a lot of people have said, well, what do you use for wards? What do you use for protection? What do you do on the daily? And it's funny because I don't realize what I'm doing. I kind of picked up things over the years and just incorporated them into my daily practices. But I thought I'd share with you. So here we go. As for personal protection, one of the earliest, forms I've used to protect myself, especially energetically, was in learning how to perform rituals and spells. When I was like a baby witch in my teens, I wanted to learn how to manipulate energy. And one of those was, first, you kind of have to learn how to use your own energy and to manipulate it into working for you. But if you're not sure how to do that, I'd recommend researching that. There's, the beginnings of saying like drawing down the moon, which is pretty much like building an energetic arc in your body and releasing it to be, to manifest, to manipulate, to bring, and I don't mean manipulate as in bad, like harming people. I mean manipulate as in using for your own benefit, and not harming anybody else. So one of these I use daily is creating a sacred circle. I kind of discussed it in a previous video, but as part of this larger, witchy series, I thought it was really important to go through my most important and beloved practices. And this creating of a sacred circle, I do it for myself sometimes several times a day, sometimes weekly, for my areas, for my cats, for family, for friends. I've had friends come up to me and I can tell their energy is very scattered. And, I will create a sacred circle around them for them and give them some of my energy, and it immediately calms. So we're going to do that today, as the first suggestion, creating a sacred circle. So what I do is I close my eyes and I envision a circle, a sphere around myself. And it's probably easiest for you to start this lying down. For some reason, I think visualization is easier for people laying down at first. And I imagined myself, surrounded by a circle, but by a sphere, that just completely encapsulated my body. And then I call in my divinities. I myself will use Lord, Goddess, Spirit Guides, Angels, Watchtowers of the North, South, East, and West. I call in the corners, the directions. And then I also call in Earth, Air, Fire, and Water, which are the basic elements. And then, of course, I invoke Spirit, my ancestors, and then any divinities that you feel close to. Like, it could be God, it could be Jesus, it could be, I personally feel close to Hecate and Horus. And so I call them in as almost a prayer, and if you're a prayerful person, it's the same thing. You're invoking the spirit and energy of something, and I ask them specifically to lend me their power and protection. And I delineate very specifically what I want protection from. So as I'm laying there visualizing this sphere around myself, I imagine the light just it's sucking up all the light until it's shining, and I ask my divinities for protection from any harmful or destructive energies, entities, beings, persons, accidents, institutions, dimensions, anything, that possibly could want to come in and cause me harm. And I imagine the light bursting around my sphere, and you can feel it where there's a peace that kind of comes over you, and you feel protected, and you have to really believe and have faith in this, and it's very helpful. Faith, right? That faith and that belief and that trust. And then I say, please only allow in perfect love, perfect trust, understanding, balance, harmony, peace, love, joy, honesty, truth, anything that you really feel is good and that you want brought only to be brought into your circle. And I ask for that, and I say, with perfect love and trust, so mote it be. And so mote it be, or blessings, or amen, any of those endings. I also ask for power from my divinities to fill me with their power so that I can go out into the world and have courage and strength. I usually add that in there before the mote it be. And that way they're lending me their power and protection for that day, for that moment, for that ritual. And that's just a really easy way to create sacred space. Now, if you're doing a ritual, there's a much more, there are several ways to, it's called creating the sacred circle, or calling in the corners. And it's to create a sphere of circular energy where you're only going to be working magic or do the ritual. And those are that's a more involved beginning of a ceremony. I do that mostly on the Sabbats, which especially, Samhain, which is like Halloween, right? It's the new year for witches like me. And when we commune and give thanks and honor our ancestors. And when you're honoring ancestors, you're of course bringing in these spirits, right? And you don't want anything brought in that shouldn't be there. I had posted something, I think, on Instagram or YouTube, and it had to do with this woman was doing cards for her cousin, and the cards, she felt the cards didn't belong to her cousin, and she knew something else was there. And then that's when she realized she really needed to create sacred space before even doing tarot, because you don't know what else is in your sphere. And in my apartment, since I'm constantly doing circles and rituals, it's become a very sacred place. So I generally don't get a lot of interference here from other spirits, or anything that's not supposed to be here. But I do it anyway. I create these sacred spaces anyway. So for the more involved ceremonial sacred space, what I do, and this is kind of a bastardization, because any type of magic you work, you're going to make it your own. So I remember reading a lot of Cunningham at the time, and he discussed being a solitary witch. And when you are learning about, say, paganism, I close my eyes when I'm trying to focus or get an intuitive hit. Anytime you want to invoke kind of the spirits and use your energy, you really want to first start the day off. This is hours before the ritual. You want to take a shower. You want to cleanse your body. I use salt, and then I have the water wash over me, and I create the sacred space even around my body first. And then I clean my apartment. I clean my space, my ritual space. I build my ritual altar, which is the laying down of the cloth that coincides with, say, like the properties or colors of that Sabbat, of that ritual I'm trying to work on. I will bring in my goddess statuary. I will have any important crystals that I feel will add strength. So knowing the properties of specific crystals is very important. Usually you can go by colors. For instance, like today we're going to talk about protection. So black is always usually a protective stone. And then, so let's say for Samhain, because it's the harvest time and the honoring of ancestors, I use a lot of orange and black and more earthy, say, ritual offerings. So my altar is going to include candles with the colors specifically for what I'm working towards. So on Samhain it would be like black candles, white pretty much here's a just tip. You can use a white candle for pretty much anything. But in Samhain, I'll use red, black, white, orange. The flowers will match that color. I like to have flowers as offerings. I also like to evoke my heritage. So I do like a Dia de los Muertos altar, an ofrenda, and have like ofrenda on the table to offer to my ancestors. I have pictures of my ancestors. So anything that, like, if you're doing that kind of ritual, or an Astara ritual, which is for the coming in of spring, you would have spring flowers, you would have like grasses, you would have the egg, you would have maybe a statuary of the rabbit, which they're all symbols. So everything that's on your altar, you want it to symbolize what you're trying to correspond in that energy, right? And also, you'll have a bowl of water and a bowl of salt. And that's the invoking the element of water, the element of earth. You'll also have incense, which is the element of air, and then the lighting of the candle, which is the element of fire. So I'm bringing in all the elements, and then I have my so the beginning of that ritual, after you've done the cleansing and built your altar, is the calling of the corners. And you go from, I start, let's see, I end on north. So east, south, west, north. I don't know where I can't think of it right now, but I start the opposite where I'm ending in the north. And I'm horrible direction wise. So directionally I'm challenged. So when I'm calling in that specific corner, like say east is air, I will I'll have my incense, and I'll walk around the circle and go clockwise, and do the symbol of the pentagram. And I imagine this as I'm doing this. Each corner, I'm creating this beautiful sacred space and calling in the divinities and the corners and the elements. So like east is air, west is water, fire is south, right? And but I do it 4 times, culminating in the last turn of the circle, which is north is earth. And as I'm doing that, I'm calling in the divinities, I'm calling in the corners, I'm calling in the elements. And if you want like a really detailed description, look up Scott Cunningham. He has a really great description of how to create a sacred circle for the solitary witch. There are other ones for, say, like the groups of witches, which I can't think of that word right. My brain is just like off today. Anyway, so that's calling a circle for a more ritualized setting. But the sacred circle just for your body and your place. I do it for my apartment, for my car, for even my apartment housing, for my cats. It's just, that's what I do on the daily, is the easier, quicker version. Also, people asked me about wards and protection for my apartment. One, I start with definitely cleaning, and that always refreshes the energy in your room. And then I use sage to smudge, and you light it and move clockwise through the rooms, asking for your divinities to clear the room of any negative energies or entities. And you leave a window open so that they have a place to go, and you say, please leave, this place is a blessed place. Any words that you want to use to invoke a clearing of the space. And then again, back to my heritage, I'll burn some Palo Santo, which is a bringing in of the positive energy. And then I'll also burn some dragon's blood, which is definitely more of a protection, good vibes incense. And then that way it's set energetically. I also do some Reiki symbols for protection and emotional stability, because I'm a little neurodivergent. I get anxiety and fear, and I like to put that in my cleansing and protecting of my space. I also use clear quartz, which is a very abundant crystal and cheap, and you can get them cheap, and then you cleanse them and you charge them. Sometimes you can clear them by putting them through sage, the smoke, by smudging them, and you can charge them at the full moon, or bury them. I like to place them in salt to be cleansed, and then I put a clear quartz at each corner of my apartment. And then that way there's like a protection. And then on the walls, like the doorways and the windows, I place a layer of salt all the way around. And for, say, like that ritualized space, like I was talking for a ceremony or ritual, salt is really a great sacred space, protector as well. Like I will sprinkle salt all around my circle. And so I do that for my doors and windows. And and then I also place bells on the like front door handle. And bells are always a really good way to cleanse spaces. There's something about the ringing, which I haven't even done research on that. I just know that. Just like I have my singing bowl and I'll hit it and it'll boom, and I feel like that energy really pushes out anything negative. And for like personal protection, like when I go out, I'll wear like, say, like this black kyanite, which it's such an interesting stone, but it wards off any negativity, or anyone with, negative intentions or bad intentions. And then around my, or I wear this amethyst necklace, especially during rituals. I wear this amethyst necklace. It's just so, mwah. It's so beautiful and charged. And I charge these during the full moon and the new moon. You can just set them out on your windowsill, or you can bury them, or just put them outside. And then around my home, like especially in my doorway, I have this black tourmaline, another tourmaline, and then around my home, I have several pieces of protection, like obsidian. This is Buddha, obsidian Buddha, but he's just sitting here, and I like to hold him. It's very grounding. So that's what I do for protection. As for wards, there's always the opportunity to create. I use sigils that I've created that I get channeled from my spirits, and sigils are just powerful symbols like writing, and they'll be channeled to me, so they're personal to me, so I don't share those, but I place the sigils over the doorways and the windows, and I definitely say, not incantations, I guess, but there are definite spells for protecting a home. I will post those in a later video. And then there's definitely ways to, channel and ask for protection. Myself, I do a lot of writing with my spirits, and they communicate with me that way, as well as, talking to me through my own thoughts, is what it sounds like or what it feels like. But, it's funny, I've had people come over, and for some reason they just can't come over, or they can't make it through the front gate and I have to go get them. But that makes me definitely aware of who is being kept out and who's allowed in, right? And it's just like, you have to find your own personal way, and there's lots of books and information on the internet, right? You can Google protection and spells, and maybe I'll just do a special video on that. But I hope that was helpful today, and if there are any questions or anything you'd like me to delve in deeper, let me know. And I hope that informed you and gave you some idea of how to witch. Love you guys. Bye.